Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome back to the Rippin Reptile Podcast from your boys at Predatory Exotics.
So today is going to be a continuation on from last episode, which we talked about our reptile room tour and our reptile room and kind of what plans we had. We didn't actually quite finish it. We kind of got strapped for time.
Yeah, we got straight. We sort of hit that 45-minute mark. So we're now going to talk about invertebrates because it's something that we originally got into. I got into it a lot when I was still living at home because I didn't really have a lot of room for reptiles. So
yes,
invertebrates are
a great alternative.
A space-saving pet if you do want something like that. So we'll talk about that in this episode, as well as ones that we're planning to get, and even sort of the setup we want to do for our invertebrates as well.
Yes. So currently I'll tell the ones about that I house. I currently house 3 mantids. And something else which I'm actually not going to mention because it won't be out yet.
On Friday.
You'll see on Friday we did pick up a few more. It's a little heads up if for the people who watch our podcast. I currently house 3 mantids and they're all doing amazing. They are all growing at different speeds. We've released care guides for them, and you normally can catch them in the Reptile Roundup videos.
Yeah, so you obviously have the what are they? 3?
I have the ghost mantis, I have the devil flower mantis, and then I have the African Congo mantis.
Yeah, because I never really used to be into the mantises. I was always a stick insect person.
Yeah.
So we used to have the Indian stick insects, which I really liked, and there was a few other species that I was interested in, but I went for them just because they had them at the time, and then I sort of got in. Mantises are stick insects that you don't have to go out weekly to get the bramble.
Yes.
That's the main advantage of having them. They eat a couple crickets a week, so you just take them out of the normal live feeders you would get for your other animals. You just take a couple out and it feeds all your mantises. So.
And then sometimes they can even not eat 1 week, and so you're basically using a cricket every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So for anyone out there who's actually interested in, getting into this kind of hobby but can't afford the reptiles, then look into invertebrates.
Even the biggest one would be like a 30, 45, which we haven't even got to that stage yet because yours isn't.
They're still growing.
Yeah.
I feel like some of them might hit it. If you guys have seen recently, especially in the next reptile roundup, you'll see the green one, the Congo green, is the largest one right now, at a good few inches.
It's big, yeah. And then it's quite cool to see them grow because all the ones we've got them in cricket tubs when they were tiny.
Yes.
And a couple of them, if you go back to some of our previous videos, we bought the ghost mantis and the Congo mantis at the same time, at the same size in the little cricket tubs, and now it's 5 times the size of the other one?
Yeah, and I feel a big thing about that is their actual behaviour patterns, because the Congo has never refused a meal.
Yeah.
Whereas the ghost actually, I think we mentioned in one of our videos, didn't actually eat for 5 weeks. And honestly, we thought it was going to die.
Yeah.
We did think this, it's the end.
Because once they get to that end bit, they only care about breeding. They're not after food because they just want to find the mate to reproduce.
And then suddenly it ate, and then it molted a few days later. It was, it's the strangest thing. Considering how all 3 of ours were bought at the same time and just they're dramatically different in size. But you also have a few other ones.
Yeah, so I have a mantis as well, which is the Twig Mantis, the African Twig Mantis, which I think is very cool. A lot of people don't. They think it's a bit boring, but I like the camouflage. If you've seen our one, it is quite difficult to sometimes even see it. But I feel like it's really cool. It's quite flighty.
Yeah.
As a mantis, if you try and pick it up, it will zip around the enclosure. But they are really cool, and again, that one's never refused to eat, it seems pretty hardy. I would say it's a good mantis to get because it's from a drier area, so you don't have to even worry about spraying it. It's better to underspray that mantis than overspray it.
Yeah, I think we still have a care guide to
Yeah,
come
we've
out.
got to do a care guide for that, and we did just a brief setup on that. We will do a care guide, but it's a really super easy mantis, that one.
Yeah, they're one of those things, before we move on to the other inverts that you've got, mantis only live for a year and a half.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting some kind of animal that you'll notice is growing a lot more.
Yeah.
They're the perfect one because it's suddenly you've got to cram a whole lifestyle into a year.
Yeah, because there was a stage where your Congo one, because it's getting so big, it was molting every few weeks.
Yeah, and because molting is such a different thing to shedding.
Yeah.
You suddenly just notice a massive difference.
Sometimes the change is crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes you'd come down and you'd see the exoskeleton, and then it'd just be like
and especially the ones that changed their silhouette as well, like the Devil's Flower. It molted, and then it got the big shield on its back, which is just going to get bigger with each molt. So it's really cool to see the change.
Yeah,
because it's not like a reptile that grows slowly and then it will change colour slowly.
Because the thing is, if we look back at such as our like Cresty Gecko, he is a lot bigger than when we got him, but you wouldn't notice that because of how they grow. So it's just kind of you adapt. But this one is sudden changes, and I feel like that's a cool thing. And I feel like people should give mantids a bit more of a chance. But other invertebrates, the ones that you've got.
So at the moment we have 3 scorpions.
Yep.
2 of which you know about is the Asian forest scorpion. We used to have a big female one, which obviously passed away, but we've got 2 baby ones.
Oh, the OG videos.
One of the OG videos that,
we regret looking back.
but they're really cool. They're super handleable as well. Like we've handled them quite a lot, and our second one molted recently as well. So they are really cool scorpion. And then the third scorpion is the one that you will see on Friday.
Yes.
It is a desert scorpion. That is how much.
That is all we're going to tell you. But then on a kind of sadder note, we did have a Vietnamese giant centipede, which if you guys have seen our last week's video about wild caught and captive bred, you know that it sadly did pass away to some kind of parasite. But that was also another cool one.
They are very cool. They're obviously not for...
You can see videos on Instagram of it eating. One of the cooler ones.
They're not for the faint-hearted or an inexperienced keeper, I would say. Definitely want to keep more invertebrates before you go into centipedes, because you don't really want to make mistakes. They're quick.
They are quick.
You need the right enclosure, otherwise something could go wrong.
Yeah.
But we were just unlucky with that one.
Yeah.
Because a lot of invertebrates are wild caught because they can package them up a lot.
Yeah, and especially with shorter lifespans.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for them to take them. See, stuff like the mantids, they'll breed and, you'll get 200 mantises.
Yeah, I'd say mantises are good.
Out of some of them.
A lot of captive bred mantises. Yeah. But stuff like your scorpions and stuff like that, they can have a gestation period of over a year.
Yeah.
So trying to breed them in captivity is a lot of work and effort, whereas a lot of people just sort of get a wild caught one, and then if it happens to have babies, if it's an adult female that they've caught, then they'll sell them on. That's kind of how it's done with them.
Yeah, not everyone's really into the thought of breeding bugs, as we should say.
And there's a lot of cannibalism as well. Yes,
they eat each other, and of course, trying to breed them, they'll eat each other, and that brings us on to our next subject. We'll talk about some of the spiders that you can get and had contact with.
I'm not massively into spiders.
I'm not too big into spiders. My girlfriend is the one here that is really into invertebrates in terms of the spider aspect. She currently has, I want to say 4.
I think she's got the giant white knee, Costa Rican zebra, the salmon pink bird eater, and then she's got another bird eater.
And then another bird eater, yeah. So I think it's 4 total. 4 total, and then she is now also looking into getting, if you guys Google, a 6-eyed sand spider.
Which is one of the ones I'm actually...
Which is a more deadly species of...
So it's quite... Well, if you don't know about the 6-eyed sand spider...
Tongue twister.
That is a tongue twister. And then obviously Google it, but they're not on the dangerous wild animals list. Because
they should.
Yeah, there's not enough medical research that's gone into the species. But from limited sort of anecdotal evidence, there's people that have been bit and it's caused necrosis on their arms and stuff. So a lot of places that you do buy it, they obviously recommend that you have a DWA or your very experienced tarantula keeper or spider keeper. They are a true spider. but they're super interesting. Obviously, like desert stuff anyway. So a desert spider that will, they'll sort of like half bury themselves in the sand, and then the sand will stick to the small hairs all over their body. So if you put it in red sand, the spider would have like a reddish appearance, which I think you can create quite a cool aspect.
And they're quick. They are.
Yeah, you don't want to be messing.
They are extremely
messing about
quick.
with them.
The good thing is they can't really climb.
Yeah,
so that's probably your best.
So as long as you have like a sort of tall enclosure with the substrate at the bottom, use tweezers and you're gonna be fine.
Yeah. So yeah, she's definitely more into the spiders, which is great because it means that we do get to interact with them. You've seen in a couple of our reptile roundups that we have had spiders here at the house, but it's not something we're too eager into going into.
I definitely prefer scorpions.
Yeah, and I definitely would prefer a praying mantis.
Because I have had previous scorpions as well, like obviously before we started the channel and stuff.
Yes.
I started off with a desert hairy scorpion, which I really liked. I'd definitely get one again, but they are more of a pricey. They're more pricey now. And then I got a Tanzanian red claw, which were quite cool. I did that like in a bioactive setup, and then I moved on to the Asian forest. So I've had 4 species of scorpion now, and I could quite happily keep loads more.
Yeah, and they definitely are a cooler one. I feel like people think of scorpions and they think the one major difference with that is you compare them to the mantis in terms of how quickly they're molting and growing.
Oh, so
and it's completely different ballpark.
We bought one at the end of October for a Halloween sale.
Yeah, so that is November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So 7 months ago.
It molted at the start of this month or something.
Yeah.
So it's a good half year at least.
And it didn't even get like.
And it was ready to molt. It wasn't like it had just molted. We bought it and it was fat. Like the sections on its exoskeleton was separated, and like pink fat was.
And like we look at it and go, oh wow, it's so much bigger. But someone else would look at it. Someone who's not into keeping invertebrates and go, it's barely changed.
Yeah,
it's barely grown. So if you're looking for a slower growing species, then definitely scorpions are the way to go. Other than that, I don't think we haven't really had any other invertebrates. I've been looking into recently. I've been trying to do some research into multi-species bioactives, where I maybe have millipedes or something at the bottom, which I think would be cool, or some kind of beetle.
We have the whole have like giant orange and tropical grey woodlice in our bioactive surroundings.
So I know that some people can get really into their woodlice, and some of them sell for crazy amounts of money. I just think I was thinking it'd be cool to have some kind of millipede in the bottom of a bioactive enclosure, if they're compatible with the species. But then one that I found really interesting that you were actually telling me about was the blue vein beetle.
Oh, and blue death feigning beetle. Yeah. So I just mentioned I had the desert hairy scorpion. Which are from like the Sonora Desert, like Arizona type area in southwestern United States, like northern Mexico type area. And I found someone that actually kept their desert hairy scorpion with like 5 blue death feigning beetles. And blue death feigning beetles are something that I've been interested in quite a while.
Minus the scorpion, they are cool.
They're a cool
species.
They're like, you don't get a lot of blue stuff.
Yes, like true blue stuff.
Yeah, and this is like sort of like a baby blue. Like obviously they get quite dusty in the sand, but they are like a decent blue colour. And if they get scared or whatever, they'll actually flip on their back and pretend that they're dead. Obviously, hence the name. But they managed to keep them in a terrarium with the desert hairy, and he didn't even bother them. So I think that would be quite a cool thing to do. Almost like you could do like a semi-bioactive with a couple like succulents or a cactus or something in it as well.
With the scorpion and some beetles.
That would look good in like a habosphere.
Yeah. Which we do have free.
Yeah. We
do have them free. And then in terms of other types of beetle,
I had sun beetles before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so if you have like the sometimes we see them in shop, the pagona grubs. They're like the fat little grubs.
Yeah.
That you can feed. they hatch into some beetles, which are like the black.
Oh yeah,
black
we
and
saw
yellow
them at
beetles.
Ridgeway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I used to have some of them, which they're a bit boring.
I mean, that is the thing, is some people can be really into beetles, and if that's your thing, that's great. I think the only kind of beetle I've ever been interested in would be a stag beetle.
Yeah, stag beetle, or wait, the stag beetle's the one that has the pincers.
Yeah.
Or you have the rhino beetle as well.
The rhino beetle's
the
cool.
rhino one.
The stag beetle, and honestly, I think just for actual kicks and being funny, a dung beetle would be
dung beetles
would be quite funny to keep as well.
Like the different scarab beetles you can get.
Yeah,
like some of them are like gold and emerald and stuff like that.
We haven't really looked too much into that side of it,
because a lot of them you buy them as grubs, and sometimes you're waiting a year for it to actually. Like, have you seen like the Hercules beetle?
Yes.
Like the grub is like it's like a banana.
Oh.
It's huge.
All right, let's we'll search this up.
Like, and they can bite you as well.
We'll search this up quickly because I want to see this banana grub. Yeah, we haven't really looked into beetles in general. It's just never been a thing where we've thought, yes, beetles.
Yeah, like the grubs are it's a Hercules beetle grub. And yeah, they are.
Oh my god!
Like, look at this. Look at that.
That's huge. Damn. And how big does the beetle get?
Oh, obviously, the grub gets bigger than the beetle, but it's the largest beetle.
Look at that.
So yeah, it starts to pupate and it'll get the horns and everything.
Yeah. Damn, that's huge.
But
that is.
Yeah. And like, if that bit you, that would hurt.
Yeah. But they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
They look pretty cool.
And then there's sort of like weird invertebrates that you can get that I'd say don't fit into a category, like the vinegaroon that you're interested in.
Yes, the also named tailless whip scorpion.
Yeah, which
I don't really understand.
Fair enough, it is like tailless, but
mentioning the word tailless whips, that's definitely something I've been wanting to get. As I've now dove deeper into finding out there are loads of different species of them.
Yeah.
Some of which claim to be blue. The Arizona blue. And I would love to try and find to actually compare it and see if it is a form of blue.
Yeah, I don't know. So the Arizona one, is that a drier one than normal ones?
I'm guessing so. I mean, all of them kind of hide away in caves anyway.
Yeah.
I'd have to look into care guides of the different ones.
Yeah.
Of course, you've got the demon, however you say it, which are the largest ones, which are the ones that you see in Harry Potter, and they get to almost about that big, your hand size, which of course I've been looking out for and would love to find, but I feel like we'll find it somewhere like the Invert Show.
Yeah.
But there's loads of different species that I'd love to keep. Moving on, segue to what we're actually planning on keeping.
Yeah.
I'll let you go first on that one.
Yeah, so I'd like to expand the scorpion collection that I have. Because I do really like scorpions, and there's so many that I see and I want. Like there's like the Deathstalker ones. I'd get another Arizona Desert Hairy and stuff. Like a lot of desert ones I do really like. I just prefer the yellow coloration.
Yeah.
And obviously the desert aspect of it. And there's one, I can't remember what it's called. There's a communal one that if you watch The Dark Den on YouTube, he has a communal setup. I think it's Titius stigmarus.
Yeah, I saw him setting them up. He had loads of little babies that he put,
I'd like to get them, but they are quite potent venom, I think. And then eventually down the line, I would like to get some DWA ones.
Yes.
Because they have the boothed scorpions, which are the fat tail scorpions. So some of them are really cool, and to be honest, they're not as deadly as something like a six-eyed sand spider.
Okay.
So, like, that's why sometimes the DWA isn't as accurate as it maybe should be, because some things are on it, and some things aren't.
Some things definitely should be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything else that you'd be interested in having.
I do like some spiders, like the six-eyed sand spider, and then in terms of tarantulas, I want the Arizona blonde.
Yeah.
Like to be honest, we'll end up with just loads of Arizona stuff. Like, we'll have like an Arizona.
We can just have an Arizona room.
You'll have your little your blue whip scorpion.
Yeah.
And then it'll have like the blue death feigning beetles and like stuff like that. That'd be pretty cool. But that's the only one. And then maybe some of the Brachypelma stuff. So like the red knee, fire leg, and then they do like the golden one as well.
See, I find them cool. I'd be interested in getting. I like the green bottle blue. Based off of like that, the colours on that is actually quite ridiculous, and they are actually like true colours as well, with the orange and the blue. And I think those would be cool. I feel like if I'd get a tarantula, I'd get an arboreal one definitely.
Yeah, whereas I would go like terrestrial old world. So if you don't know about tarantulas, there's like old world and new world. So old world would be basically anything sort of Africa and Asia type area, and they're usually more potent venom, more flighty,
less handleable,
a lot less handleable. And then you have the new world, which is the Americas, so North America, South America, Central America, and then they're the ones that have the urticating hairs.
Yes,
that they can scratch off into the air, and they tend to be more handleable, even though some aren't.
Calmer in nature.
Yeah,
it's like it kind of like is what it said.
And a lot of them
whether
like,
that's true,
like bigger bodied.
Yeah,
and sort of I just prefer them ones.
Yeah, no, arboreal is definitely. As you guys know from me keeping reptiles, I do like arboreal because I just like them to be out.
So like eventually like stuff like the Indian ornamental stuff, which is obviously quick. You got like the blue Metallica one.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the Indian ornamentals recently in shops. So it seems things seem to come in waves in our local shops, and you can kind of tell that they've probably got them from the same location because suddenly it's like we have 10 of these in. And it's like the other shop had 10 of these in, which you start to notice, especially on how much we go to shops, like people who
and like because we follow everyone on social media as well. Like you'll see everyone Facebook post the same animal, and you're like, oh, they must have all got.
There's a shipment. Someone's just bred them all.
Yeah.
In terms of other than like whips and maybe a couple spiders, I would like to get more mantids in the future.
I would say mantises are the one that probably maybe the only one that we would breed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would try to breed the whips, but
Then I think that's going to be the same as the scorpions, where it's a long gestation period.
Yeah, and of course, it's one of those ones where even if you put them together, they're not necessarily going to do anything, whereas I feel like you have a little more input with reptiles, especially with snakes and stuff like that. Sometimes they can just not.
Yeah, and at least with the mantises, you sort of have... once they get to... You literally have a specific...
you have a short window as well.
Yeah, like the molts. You have to line up the molts with them, and then obviously breed them, and then you get the eggs, and it's something that's cool, and I feel like it's quite a good payoff in terms of like experience, and you don't have to wait too long as well.
Yeah, you don't have to wait too long. Like I said, like the window of opportunity is shorter, and then also you need backup males.
Yeah, you can just rely on having one pair.
So it's not exactly like, you have one male, one female, and then they're going to do it. If that male goes in there and she kills him, you've just not got another one.
Because then
she'll die.
Yeah,
and
she'll die.
You've got to try again, and that is probably the hardest part about keeping inverts, is if you're wanting to actually breed them.
And then once they do breed, obviously you're gonna have 100 little deli cups. Tiny ones, and then probably have to feed them fruit flies.
Yeah, which would be another downside, would be cultivating fruit flies and stuff like that. But we do plan on doing it. It's something because
at the moment, obviously, they're all mixed in the room.
They're scattered. Yeah. We don't specifically have an invert section. We will probably in the future have some kind of invert section, especially at our facility that we eventually want to build. We'd have a proper invert room, like a cave or something, which would be
rocked out, quite dark,
pretty cool. Yeah, type of thing you'd find at a zoo
with like different like UV lights for the scorpions and stuff.
Which would be super cool, but yeah, it's just about planning and having the space to actually set up.
Yeah, because we need somewhere. We've obviously got the desert set up and then the jungle set up, and then we kind of have the mantises just on one section. But we do have plans for that section. So
yeah, that's kind of the odd section.
We don't know where we're going to put it, but we are going to have some invertebrate area.
Yeah, which will be cool. Having them all. It's just the thing is they don't last as long. That's probably the main thing, and
that's probably the one that pros to if you get, especially like a female tarantula,
and you're not too into it.
Like, it's gonna live like 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and in comparison to the males.
Yeah.
The lifespan difference is actually
it's like 5 to 8 years.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I feel like not a lot of shops, at least I've noticed, don't sex them for you. They'll just all put them, even if they're fully grown. Like sometimes some of the bigger mantids, they still won't sex, even though we might be able to look at them and sex them. I feel like it may just be a bit too much of a hassle for them. But then stuff like the mantis, one of the best things about it is if you're not too into them, you've only got it for a year.
Yeah, that's why I think it would be good for if you had kids.
Yes.
Like if you had kids and they were sort of looking into having a pet that they could easily look after, and it wasn't like a long-term commitment like a reptile, like stick insects are great because there's no chance of them harming you, as opposed to a mantis
or dropping them, or
like a stick insect, especially once they're small. Like I had baby ones and you could drop them and the air resistance means that they just fall to the ground like a feather. Like there's nothing. But I would say they're great for kids and someone that's going to start to look into exotics.
Yeah, and if you're wanting something different to a hamster or a guinea pig, I'd say one of the downsides of keeping invertebrates is the chance of death when they molt.
Yeah.
Because of course you have your reptiles that will shed, and they might have stuck shed or something which you can help with. Inverts, if they have a bad molt, you can't really do anything.
Yeah, like it depends how bad it is. Like a lot of it is sometimes due to your setup and husbandry.
Yes.
So like with your mantises, always make sure you got that at
side
like 2.5 to 3 times the height.
Yeah, side airflow, making sure that it's
proper humidity. Because if they're trying to, if they're from a humid area and they're trying to molt, and it basically helps them slide out a lot easier.
Which we haven't, thankfully, had any issues with molting or anything like that. But I've seen some videos online of like some bad molts, and
the only advantage if it's slightly bad, like if a leg gets caught in the molt, they can regrow it.
Yeah, so if suddenly you look to buy one without a leg, they can regrow the leg. That's pretty cool.
Or like you'll see one with a shorter leg, it's probably because it's in the process of it won't, the next molt be a whole leg, but like each molt it will get a little bit bigger and back to normal size.
It's not hard to maintain molting and make sure, but you just got to make sure that you are keeping them right, because then you just won't have any issues. But yeah, I've seen some bad molts and you can't really do anything about them.
You can't really fix it. Like they're so sensitive at that size. Like you can't, once they molt, you can't feed them, can't touch them.
We leave ours for about 5 days before we even remove the molt from there.
Like the scorpion is a visibly different colour.
Yes, you can tell it's squishy.
Like they're pretty much jet black, and then it molted and it was almost like pinkish,
purpley.
And
it was definitely a lot squishier. Just making sure, because I think our video is going to turn off in a second, so I will have to fix that. Okay, we're back. We've fixed the video. Video is
back on the go.
Back on. I don't know if we ever mentioned it, but you can only record in half-an-hour increments, which is annoying. But we rarely actually record more than half an hour.
Yeah,
at
it's
time.
only the podcast.
It's only the podcast that we actually do it with, and most people just listen to it, so it's not even much visual aspect. It's just something we put in there instead of just a black screen. But yeah, so that's kind of our plans for inverts. I don't know if there's anything else we planned on talking about.
I think we should talk about we had that idea for the scorpion thing.
Yes, we
It was
had.
a pretty cool idea.
We had.
We're probably not going to do it anytime soon.
No, so we can kind of low key spoil it, and then people forget about it, and then hopefully we show it. And
Yeah. Like if we do it in however long time, and you watch this, then you got to be like, I watched it when you originally said, because that'll be cool.
We I don't even remember how we got onto this topic of conversation.
We have a Habosphere.
Yes, we have one Habosphere.
And then we saw one on Facebook Marketplace, which is where we get a lot of our second-hand tags.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, they look super cool next to each other. Because they basically, like, unlike the Exoterra that has the black border, it's just like a pure glass front, glass side. So they sit right next to each other and just have like the curved glass all the way. And we were like, oh, they would look really cool next to each other. And then we're like, oh, what if we put 3 or 4 next to each other?
In some kind of square or...
Yeah, and then we eventually came up with the idea that you could have a whole sort of square around, like here you would have a whole square, and they would look like they're all linked together, even though they were separate tanks. And then you could put a map in the middle of it, which would be pretty cool. Like a big map with all your different... Originally we said it was going to be scorpions.
Yes, originally we did say scorpions.
Yeah, obviously you could modify it if you think this is a good idea and you want to do it.
Yeah.
But we originally said like scorpions of the world. So you would have the big map in the middle, and then like string going from each area to each tank around the square, and it would like tell you where each one was from and stuff like that.
And have that kind of sitting, such as like a background.
Yeah.
Which I think would be an awesome idea. You can see it in your head on how we would want to do it. And I think that would look really cool, especially even if it was at the facility in the like future, and it was at like the front desk, and it was like behind the front desk or something.
But you could modify it to however you wanted to do it, because obviously if you didn't know, if you get the IKEA cabinets, like the square ones, they're the perfect size for a 30cm cube, so you could get them and put your 30cm cubes inside. And then do the same thing and put like a
you
map
could put anything in there.
Yeah.
If you buffed up the scale, you could do it on.
Yeah.
You could do it
Yeah,
on
if you
anything.
made your own. But obviously, I was just saying, like the IKEA one is already pre-built. You could put your different spiders and scorpions, whatever.
But yeah, that was just a fun little thought we had, and we hopefully plan to make in the future. We straying a little bit away from invertebrates towards the end of this podcast. We have a lot of plans of little tidbits like that.
Yeah, because we want to make like that sort of thing as well. Like it's educational. So you would have loads of scorpions, and a lot of people might think scorpions are like from certain areas, like only deserts and only like rainforests and stuff. But you have like Italian scorpions that I really like, and then wood scorpions.
Mamma mia!
and you have like wood scorpions from different areas in Europe, which I think a lot of people wouldn't realise that there's like a lot of European scorpions that are quite cool, which are a lot smaller. But you have them, and then obviously you'd have the exact area it came from showing you the thing. Then you'd have like a miniature replica of that environment. With some information as well, because we do want to educate people.
Yeah, we of course want to become YouTubers that have day-to-day reptile upkeep and eventually open our facility. But at the end of the day, we do just want to educate people and teach people, not only showing our journey on learning stuff, kind of opening the horizon to people as well, because people think of reptile keeping and they think of bearded dragons, corn snakes, and the simple stuff that people can list. We're kind of here to also be like, hey, some other stuff as well.
I think a lot of stuff is underrated, like even like invertebrates.
Out of no fault other than just not knowing.
Just like they're not represented enough. Yeah,
and that's what we want to do is represent them.
Because like, if you would say praying mantis, you would just think of the normal green one.
Yes.
Like from Kung Fu Panda or whatever.
Exactly, but there's
so like mantises. There's so many different ones, and for whatever reason, that one's become the like face
generic one.
Generic one, where it's like you've got the spiny flower mantis and stuff.
The thistle mantis.
So
you look at some of these, and some of these are ridiculous.
Yeah.
How they look. Like you look at like the violin mantis, and you suddenly realise, you go, is that a praying mantis?
Yeah.
And then, surprisingly, I'm not going to send out any names of anyone, but the amount of people that I talk to that don't actually know what a praying mantis is.
Yeah.
And it kind of, from our perspective, it's quite surprising because we know about the animals. We're in the collecting. But then people who just in general don't know what these invertebrates are, is that crazy? Because people think of scorpion, they'll think of probably like the emperor scorpion.
Yeah. Just one that you would get as a tattoo.
Exactly, yeah. And then I show people a tailless whip scorpion, and they're like, "What is that?"
People see they a lot of people that we show that one, they obviously know it from Harry Potter.
Yes, it is.
But they don't know actually what it is. They didn't realise it was a real thing.
Yeah, or if you show them the vinegaroon.
Yeah, like the vinegaroon camel spiders.
People look at them. I love camel spiders.
Which I'm not that interested in.
That was not one we mentioned, but definitely look up what a camel spider is if you don't know. They are disgustingly cool.
Yeah, they're not. It's not even. I don't even know what it is. It's not a spider.
No,
it's not a scorpion.
It's just one of those weird.
It's a bit like the whip scorpion and the vinegaroon aren't scorpions. They're
not spiders.
Yeah.
They fall into their own weird category, but I love them because they're super strange. But yeah, and a lot of people just don't know these things exist. And then you suddenly tell them, and they're like this lives on the same earth as I do, and it's like, it's in my house. Do you want to see what like? That's kind of what we wanna educate people on, especially because I feel one of the ways I see it in the future is if we have the facility, we'll have a kind of mid-age to younger age demographic.
Yeah.
And then hopefully parents that come along with them will educate as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of with that as well, it will be like a lot of the kids will want to come, or parents will bring their kids as like a day out. But then in the process of just like having their kids come to see some animals, then the adults will get interested.
Yeah, and we'd want everyone to get involved, everyone to get handling the animals. This isn't going to be like a zoo where you just go and you look and take photos. You'll actually get to interact with them. You'll get to, hold stuff, and we will teach you about these animals.
Yeah, like obviously when you go to just a normal zoo, obviously they have a placard with a bit of information about them, but you don't really get to sort of connect with that. Like I think if you went somewhere, obviously they can't really do it at some places because you don't have that one-to-one.
It's understandable because zoos, especially on such a larger scale, have a lot of more people to cater for. That's why we want to do it in smaller groups so we can really get that connection.
And I feel like it'd be more memorable if you held this specific animal, got taught everything about it, and it was even one that you could then get at home.
Yeah.
Then it's something that you've already sort of, if you weren't necessarily into reptiles, you've already got a step in where you're like, oh, I was comfortable.
I like that.
Handling it.
I could see myself keeping that. Yeah, and, you get, at the zoos, you get the generic, you get a petting zoo where it's like goats and stuff like that, and then you might be able to ride a camel or something of those sorts, or, hold an eagle. But we want to kind of make it so you can interact with majority of the animals in some sense, whether it's just feeding them, not handling them, if it's dangerous species, or just watching them get fed. It'd be cool. It'd be definitely something we want to kind of strafe towards.
Yeah, and then I think probably the last thing I want to say is if you're keeping invertebrates and stuff, it's a great space saver.
Yes.
Like we mentioned it at the very start. But if you don't have, if you lived in like a flat or something, and they don't necessarily let you have reptiles, or you don't have the space for tanks, like invertebrates are a good way to go.
Yeah, you tell them I'm keeping a bug.
Yeah.
They won't care.
Yeah.
They'll be.
You have a little 30cm cube with a bug in it, or
it's got a bug.
Whatever.
It's like, oh, I've got a beetle, and they'll be like, okay.
I feel like that's a good, and like the cost as well.
Yes.
Like they're not expensive to set up.
The most expensive mantis I've seen is £40.
Yeah.
And the cheapest is probably about 10.
Yeah.
So if that's your ballpark, you could. That's that's birthday money if you're a kid and you're
and like mantis setups as well are
sticks.
Minimal. It is minimal.
It is sticks and some soil at the bottom,
Yeah.
depending on the species. Obviously,
You don't have to get you can get an acrylic tank. You can do what?
Yeah, we have some acrylic tanks
Yeah.
that you literally just put together, and it's just cut plastic. And we get the ones that we get that house our coming adult mantises for like 30 quid. And of course the thing is, once you've got that, you've got that forever. So if you want to get another one in the future, you've got that tank. But I think that's about it. That's about it. We're coming to the end of the podcast for our kind of invert section of what we plan for the future, because we wanted to do, our own little podcast for inverts, because it kind of does differ from the reptiles, because you'll find not everyone who keeps reptiles keep inverts as well. They're kind of the two different categories.
Yeah, there's not always. I see, it's weird because we just like the whole exotics.
We just like animals.
Yeah, like
just in general.
But I feel like some people just like reptiles.
And then you get some people who are just into inverts and super into them as well. So that's why we wanted to give it its own little podcast. But we are coming to the end of it now. So we hope you guys have enjoyed listening to us chat on once again. I don't even know what episode this is on.
I don't know.
I think we're coming up to double digits.
It might be 10.
It might be 10. This might be the 10th one. Yeah. But hope you guys have enjoyed. So don't forget to subscribe to us here on Predator Exotics. Like this video if you are enjoying the podcast and want more in the future. We are currently, I think we said it last time, currently doing it bi-weekly. Yeah. We find it works quite well that way. Don't forget to head over to Instagram. Yep. As well, to see any of our daily updates, especially because we talk about a lot of the stuff, and I want to mention the Instagram because we have posted a video like the centipede eating. Yeah. You can go check that out.
Mantis feeding.
And it's not like you have to scroll. I don't even know if that's a word. Scroll through a video to try and find one specific thing. We've just got a short clip on there, so don't forget to head over to our Instagram and follow us on there for more behind the scenes. But without further ado, we hope you guys have enjoyed. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.